whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
I am here. I have made it. Thank you for everybody for joining us. I'm a little exhausted this morning. My friend Kim McAllister. If you guys don't know, I was at the Beyonce concert last night, which I was telling Kim right before we went on air. I clicked on the Mercury News, and the reviewer for the Mercury News, I'm trying to find the person's name real quick. Jim Harrington. Did not like the Beyonce concert at all. I have some pictures. I'm trying to upload this freaking video that was really, really cute. And so I had a good time. If anybody else went to the concert, am I being loud? I feel like I sound loud to you, Kim McAllister?
No, you sound perfect.
Everyone will have to chat loudly this morning because Nikki's hearing might be slightly. Oh, I think you're talking about the concert.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see. It was a joke. I get it. I had a good time. There's two issues that I have. Actually, there's one issue that I have, and this is why we can't have things like public transportation fully funded. Because I'm going to show you some images in just a minute from my concert experience. We did not we were drinking, and so we took public transportation that's like literally right down the street from our house, which is really, really nice. And they blew it. VTA completely blew it. So we'll get into that. I'll show you some of the pictures and the videos. I have some T-Swift news from my friend Kim McAllister that you may be excited about. Of course, Hurricane Idalia apparently had a direct hit on Governor DeSantis's mansion. So we'll talk about that. Yeah. And has anyone, and I'm making a joke, but I know that it's probably serious. Has anyone thought about turning Mitch McConnell off and then back on again? Because the guy, there's something wrong with him. I think for anybody saying that Biden is too old to be president should really look at someone like Mitch McConnell and be like, someone needs to pull him aside. So you need to get checked out. And I think that it's about time to hang it up, Mitch. And it couldn't have happened to a worse person. And then I want to get into this news about Dreamforce. So if you don't know, it's like this huge convention by Salesforce in San Francisco. They turned this area of San Francisco into kind of like this little community. They have all kinds of speakers. I've never been. I've driven past it a million times. This could be the last year it's in San Francisco if it turns into a nightmare with like homelessness and people don't feel safe, because this brings people from all around the world. In case you don't understand the significance of this, Salesforce has the largest building, I think, in the United States in San Francisco, and yet it's not going to hold its conference in San Francisco.
Well, it's also had the biggest convention in San Francisco.
Yeah,
I think 40,000 people come for this big conference, which, they last year, I think they turned the whole front of the Moscone Center into like a national park theme.
Yeah,
it's
it was
huge.
really kind of cool. Yeah, it's a really cool type of thing, but at the same time, what does that say? The Salesforce building is a huge part of the San Francisco skyline. They've invested in the largest building in San Francisco. You could say it looks like a bullet. You could say it looks like a sex toy. A lot of people have say it looks phallic, whatever. It's a weird shaped building. I will give you that. But I just feel like this is such a moment for San Francisco to get its act together. You know, we constantly talk about the homeless issue. We're talking about how San Francisco wants to lift the injunction. Governor Newsom has even come out and said this injunction is ridiculous. So we'll get into that today as well. We'll update the strike. I wasn't able to get to this yesterday about the late night hosts banding together for a new podcast. And my question is, one, it's kind of like blogging. And I'm not knocking us. We do a podcast of this show. the money is supposed to go to those impacted by the strike. I don't know if it's going to work. I also feel like it's kind of cheating. Like, you're not supposed to work and make money. And I understand that, like, it's supposed to go to those that are impacted, but you're really not supposed to do anything. So I don't know how I feel about that. Pam Anderson, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Jessica Simpson are taking a hard look at their own looks. And not really actually Gwyneth Paltrow so much as someone that was in a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow. And it's an interesting question of what women, again, are forced to do to themselves or accept about themselves if they want to make it in Hollywood. Jefferson Graham's going to join us. So, Kim, it was the blue moon last night.
Blue supermoon, yeah.
The blue supermoon. I tried. I really, really tried. I feel like I did the things that Jefferson Graham did last night to take a picture of said moon. I don't know what I did wrong. I feel like it was one of my better ones, but it doesn't. So Jefferson Graham's going to join us. He's going to rate my moon picture taking skills, which I think are very mediocre compared to his own. And he's also going to talk about, he found some old film and he was able to download it into this website and bring it back to life, these photos to life. And so one of them is him when he was much younger. So you won't want to miss that. Yeah. Okay. So we'll be talking about that. He also has some thoughts about the new iPhone announcement. And he says consumers should not buy a new phone before the end of the month. Now, I'm assuming he means this month or maybe next month. So we'll clarify with him. Well, also, because we didn't get to this yesterday, people are taking longer to get married, not just here in the United States, but in China. And so China is offering cash incentives for young people to get married. And it's a certain age. Now, and my question will be, do you think age or where you are in life should matter more on when you get married? And then we'll also weigh in on something I wanted to talk about, which was that adult-only flight. Have you heard how it's going to be separated? I'm kind of feeling like it's a smoking section in a restaurant. You're all on the same freaking plane. It doesn't actually matter, but we will discuss that as well during the show. All right. Kim's headlines are also coming up. But first, before we get to any of that, please, you guys, click the thumbs up button to show your support of the show. Do it each and every show. I'm just going to be honest. I have to go back and click the thumbs up button on my own show. So I
do it every day. Every day.
I do it, but I'm always like, oh, I have to go back. So even if you're watching it in replay, or you just please click the thumbs up button and share the show with your family and friends, and make sure you have subscribed. Hit that bell as well, because then you're notified when the new shows are up, which is pretty much every day. But just click the bell and you get a reminder. The super chat is also live, and a big thank you to Spencer. Spencer's starting us off with a $5 donation to our super chat. So thank you, Spencer. We really, really do appreciate you and everybody that donates. I will say thank you, Luis. So here we go. Take a look at my new Beyonce sweatshirt. Hold on. So here it is.
Okay.
So there she is. She's standing. Luis donated to the cause to get me a sweatshirt, and I bought it. And I will tell you, because we took, and I'll get into this a little bit after the headlines of my Beyonce experience, but I told my husband, I was like, when we get there, because we missed the early train, and so we had to wait a little bit. So we got there a little before 8:00. She was late, so it didn't actually matter. But I was like, don't let me forget to get merch right when the concert starts, because I figure the lines will be very short, and they were. It was awesome. And my husband was a savior for reminding me to go get it, because I was all excited to get to my seat. So I got this sweatshirt. I will say this. For the price that you pay for some of this merchandise, it could be a little thicker because I'm a cold person. It's a little thin for a quote unquote sweatshirt, but it's really just like a long sleeve kind of warm shirt. Mm-hmm. The actual sweatshirt, $125. And I was like, you know what? No, that's not freaking happening.
Even Luis would have been like, no.
So I got this. Thank you, Luis. I just had to pad a little bit of it, but it was totally worth it, and I appreciate you. This was the donation from yesterday for the show. But if you want to donate to the super chat, it doesn't have to be for a sweatshirt. It goes to myself and Kim. Just look for the $sign under the live chat box, and it's awesome. Yes, thank you, Luis. Also, please make sure you're Medorable. Oh, we have a new Medorable. I'll have to get the name signed up just yesterday. And you can donate any amount. It's one time a month that you're charged. So whatever you can afford, once a month. It's not every day. It's not every week. Just once a month. Just go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com. theNikkiMedoroShow.com. Our Patreon link is there, and you'll be an official Medorable. And that's amazing. And you help keep this show on the air because we're 100% crowdfunded. Our PayPal link is there. Again, the email, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. If you want to send me story ideas, interview ideas, if you want to share your story, just email me, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. And of course, the merch shop. There's nothing $125 at the merch shop, so don't even worry about it. The NikkiMedoroShop.com. Okay, let's get some headlines. I'll try to get a video up and running. There's a really cute video that I want to show you from the Beyonce concert, so hopefully my computer cooperates. But let's first get some headlines with Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
I think that's the best open in the history of news opens. I just love it. This is Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show. Tropical storm Idalia is bringing life now to threatening flash floods to parts of eastern North Carolina. This storm came onshore as a Category 3 hurricane. Look at me, Cat 3, like I live in hurricane land. Yesterday morning, it's now a tropical storm with sustained winds of 60 miles an hour. A tropical storm warning is in effect for the South Santee River north to the North Carolina-Virginia state line. It was raining in 4 different states or affected by Idalia yesterday.
It is crazy. Hold on. Can I just show that since you're talking about Idalia, and I wanted to show you this picture really quickly. Actually, I'll just share my screen so you guys can see it. This is what happened to Ron DeSantis. I love when they say, the governor's mansion. I mean, I know that he's the governor, but give me a break. So here it is. Let's see there. See that tree split, and that's apparently his.
Oh, at the governor's mansion, huh?
Yeah, at the governor's mansion. So it split the tree. Nobody got hurt. It landed on.
Realtor.com makes looking for a house exceptionally easy.
Go to Realtor.com or download the app.
So yeah, it split in half, and then some of it landed on the mansion. So nobody got hurt though, but they were in the house when it happened.
Wow.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says Hurricane Idalia did leave behind major damage. He said the search and rescue efforts are still underway. Crews are actively working to restore power across that state. The governor said all bridges impacted by the storm in Florida have since been cleared. And FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell says she traveled to Florida to survey the damage with DeSantis. Apparently, all he had to do was walk right outside the front door to see the damage.
Exactly.
Oh, look at the damage. President Biden is approving an emergency declaration for South Carolina because of Idalia. The declaration authorizes Department of Homeland Security and FEMA to coordinate disaster relief efforts in that state. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is not fit for office. No. McConnell, who was 81, appeared to freeze up while speaking to reporters Wednesday, raising concerns over his health. Greene, in a social media post, said severe aging and health issues among the nation's leaders must be addressed. She also said President Biden, California Congresswoman Dianne Feinstein, and Pennsylvania Congressman John Fetterman are not fit to serve. Ooh. McConnell had a similar freeze moment during a news conference at the U.S. Capitol in July.
All right, wow. Let's watch it. Are you ready?
Severe aging? What's severe aging? Isn't it just aging?
Well, I think we're finally coming to terms with the fact that this is what I think it honestly is. I think it really comes down to one, people like the name recognition and this whole this person has so much experience. Let's keep this person in office. But forgetting one, there's other people that can do the job and that are younger and kind of this training of other people. Here's Mitch McConnell. And again, I despise this man. I really do. I think he has been so harmful to this nation, to progress in the nation. Merrick Garland not being able to even be heard from during the nomination process for the U.S. Supreme Court. Mitch McConnell has been an obstructionist for his own benefit, for his own party's benefit. I feel no sympathy for this man. I do not wish him death or anything. But let's try rebooting him because here he is. This is what happened.
Senator, you're up for election in 3 short years. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
What a question to freeze on.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Yep. This is my answer.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Thank you.
She's pretty cool under pressure, I have to say.
Well, I think it's also, you're a human being. Obviously, he's having some sort of issue. And I'm okay.
Okay.
Sorry, dude. Like, something's going on,
Somebody
man.
else have a question? Please speak up.
What efforts is Daniel Cameron going to have to make on the campaign trail when Kentucky's over in November?
Senator Daniel Cameron.
Okay. I mean, it's so painful to freaking watch because it's like, dude, why are we asking him another question? He didn't answer that question, but let's throw another one at him. It doesn't make...
See, I know. Mark and I had kind of a disagreement yesterday because he was more like you, where he's like, I have no sympathy for this person.
No,
he has,
really.
been awful for this country. He's done the horrible things, on and on. And I just feel like I look at that moment and I don't
Couldn't have
care.
happened to a worse person. Yes, exactly.
No, see, that's the thing. I don't care who you are or what you've done. There's a humanity there. There's a frailty there where
he's not injured, Kim. Nobody's hurting him. He's having a health issue.
He's having a mini stroke. He's having what appears to be they call it a TIA, like little mini strokes. And you know what will happen? I think, here's my guesstimate, is he'll have little mini TIAs, little strokes, until the big one hits and he's a goner.
Oh, God.
And so I look at him in this moment and I think, this is a person who's suffering publicly. He should not be standing up there.
Right.
This is something that should be happening in private. And I feel bad that this is on public display because it's a moment of frailty and a moment of humanity that you want to preserve the person's dignity, human dignity. Now you could say he has no dignity or whatever. Okay.
He hasn't given that. He has not given that to other people. You want to give him what he doesn't give other people. People are begging for, so all sorts of issues. His political decisions have impacted America, in my opinion, terribly. Now, I completely agree with what you're saying, Kim. The heart, the human in me completely agrees with you 100%. He has health issues. Get this guy off the stage and get him help. But the reason why I not disagree with you, but I go the other way, is his ass knows. He knows he should, and he won't. He won't. And I have no sympathy for that. Until he takes one, for the betterment of the country, I need to step down. I can't do my job, blah, blah, blah. But he won't. And I'm sorry. Like, it's the awful, negative, dark side of me, I guess. It's really a cruel thing to say.
You're not
I
alone.
understand I'm being cruel, but I don't care. I don't like him.
Maybe I'm too much of a bleeding heart. You and Mark seem to be on the same page here, but I just feel like I see this frail old person who,
He should step down. Why doesn't he step down then?
Up and taken to the hospital with a full battery of MRIs. I don't know. He should step down.
Why doesn't he then? Why do you think he doesn't?
Says Liz. Greed and power. She's right.
Yeah.
Liz is right.
So no sympathy then, right? Because he's doing it because he's greedy and he wants power, even though it hurts us as a country. We don't, even his own political party, it hurts.
I guess when I see a medical situation like that, my sympathy kind of overrides everything else.
You're right. If he collapsed, I'm not trying to set bars of my caring, but yes, you're right. He's probably, sorry. He's probably
How much do I care about you?
Are you on the ground? Are you bleeding? Are you severely hurt? Then if Mitch McConnell collapsed next to me, I would bring him aid, right? If he needed CPR, son of a bitch, I'd probably give the guy CPR. But this of him like standing up there, not able to ask a question, there is this terrible devil part of me that's like, I'm glad that this is how you're going to end your political career. As the sad turtle just standing there like you don't know what the hell is going on. Because again, you should have left when you were on top for the GOP. And you know what, Randy? Feinstein should have never run for re-election. But I will say this: you could probably say it's the same reason Mitch McConnell won't. Right? It's ego. It's thinking that you're the only one that can do this job, so you need to stay in it. Right? She should have bowed out. RBG, same kind of idea. Like, why did you not? Why did you not? And I think that on one hand, you do think that you could still do the amazing job. There's people in your ear saying, nah, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. But it's ego. It's ego. At some point, Whether it's a small part or a big part, it's ego. And you feel that you're the only one that can do it. And it straddles all political parties, in my opinion.
I am about ready to smack myself in the forehead because this is a first for me. I'm going to give props to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, God. Why?
I know.
We can't skip this story? No? Okay.
In this story, she calls out not only McConnell, who she says is unfit for office, but also, and I disagree with her assessment of President Biden, but she calls out Dianne Feinstein as well. I also disagree with her calling out of John Fetterman, right?
I mean, the Fetterman thing is bull. I mean,
yeah, it's baloney.
It's
But I do give her props for throwing Republicans and Democrats all in the same, if you're going to complain about, as Randy was just kind of alluding to, if you're going to complain about one person in one party being old, then throw it all in together and list all of them.
But I also think she chose Mitch because Mitch isn't a MAGA. He's not all in on Trump. He's actually wanting to go the other way, even though it's because of him that we have Trump.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think if it was a staunch MAGA supporter, she might. But yeah, I think it's I'll give her a little bit of credit for it. But
do you think this happening to Mitch McConnell? See, and here's my other problem with this story and what she's saying is, and while I agree with her, across the aisle criticism here, I feel like it really has to be a case by case basis, because when you look at Feinstein and McConnell, who I think is probably, the most glaring, obvious choice for someone to step down.
In addition to Dianne Feinstein.
Feinstein too. Yep, you got it. That's completely different than President Biden. If President Biden stood up and had this type of, senior moment, or this, I would say it's even more egregious than that. This, what looks to be like a mini stroke, that's a serious thing. He isn't. He's running and walking and looking like the picture of health in his 80s. So
but people point out like
different.
He stumbles like with his words, and he does seem to get confused about what the hell he's talking about. He does. I mean, he has his moments, Biden, but I don't think that there's senior moments. There's a difference. I think Biden just he starts rambling a little bit.
That's right.
And starts telling stories like nobody asked you for this story type of thing. But do I think that he's with it? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I think that he's in the same vein as Mitch McConnell? No. Somebody needs to pull Mitch. They do. Because in all honesty, and I'm going to be kind here, Mitch, you do not want your career to end with you collapsing during a press conference and having, like what Kim was talking about, a full-on stroke.
That's what's going to happen.
I just think that's stupid. Why would you do that? But then again, it's politics. And what are you going to, but sometimes you look at these people, and again, I don't want to be ageist, but there should be a cutoff. If you have to be a certain age to start politics, you should have to be, or like run for president. And I know it's in the Constitution, but there should be a cutoff. I do believe that. I mean, not because I don't think you can do it. Like President Biden, I think he can do it at his age. But then it forces us to look to the younger generation, which again is going to be here longer than the older generation. My kids care more about climate change and things like this. Why? Because their grandparents are not going to be alive to see the worst of it, even though the worst of it is happening all of the time. I mean, look at these storms, look at these wildfires, right? But the younger generation has more skin in the game naturally because of the fact that they're younger. So there's more consequences for them in the decisions that are made right now than if you're freaking 80 years old making decisions that are going to have repercussions for decades after you die. I went off on a tangent.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Sherry says his wife should step up and do something. Is he married? I don't know if he's married.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I know. Can you imagine? I know. Sorry, I'm being so mean. I just really can't stand that guy. I really can't. Every time he got reelected, I was like, son of a bitch. Like, what is wrong with you, Kentucky? And my sister lives in Kentucky. And I'm like, she's like, I have no idea. It's freaking weird.
Jennifer says, I doubt that McConnell isn't already aware of his health issues, just like Feinstein.
Yep.
They just don't care about how that affects the ability to do their job.
And that's a shame, because again, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, I'm sure you look at McConnell and Feinstein, you're like, I loved their political history, right? Like what they've done in their entire time in politics. But if you look at, it's just, again, go out on top. There's a reason that's a saying. Go out when you're with it enough to help the people that come up behind you. But nope. All right, fine. I mean, people are like, you don't have to you can despise McConnell, but you don't have to be disrespectful. So I don't think I'm being disrespectful because I don't believe that McConnell deserves my respect. Okay. Right. Now, am I being a little cruel about his health things and not caring as much and saying he needs to be rebooted? I'll give you that. But Mitch McConnell, in my opinion, deserves 0 of my respect.
Lori says, looks like he does go out with his boots on.
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
exactly. Right. I'm done being mean.
All right, let's talk about this because how we have turned. The maker of Purell hand sanitizer is announcing it is no longer for sale, but some of the workers there are being laid off. Gojo Industries makes Purell. They say they are eliminating some salaried positions, which make up less than 10% of the workforce. That's due to a decline in demand for its products after a surge during the pandemic. The company also says it is no longer considering selling the business, despite earlier reports from the Wall Street Journal that company was up for sale. Back in 2021, the company signed a 20-year lease to stay in Akron, Ohio. Wow. Purell, man, you would think after everything that happened, we gotta prop up these in times of stress.
Yeah, but do you think people are still washing their hands long enough? Like we're so stupid as a species sometimes. Yeah, I know. It's like, I know COVID's still around, but I'm still going to do X, Y, and Z. I don't know if I'm singing happy birthday twice, when I'm washing my hands. Purell, we could let that company go, even though they saved our ass during a pandemic.
Completely saved our ass.
I mean.
Now they're having to cut staff positions.
Because we're stupid.
What?
Because we're stupid. That's why.
I mean, okay, so here's what we have shown. We need the mask companies, and we need them in America, not China. We need Purell.
But we're not using as much.
We need the Clorox wipes. Remember when you couldn't find a Clorox wipe to save your life?
Remember that guy that was hoarding them and he got arrested?
Yeah. I'm just saying, toilet paper companies. Let's prop up these
always
folks
need
that
toilet paper.
Come
you
on,
always need toilet paper.
Purell laying off staffers.
Yes. Well, I mean, I will say this though. I mean, you can't keep up the level of employment if the consumer, which is us, it's not Purell's fault. We're just not buying it anymore. I mean, when's the last time you bought hand sanitizer?
I buy the hand sanitizer spray.
I can't use that. It gave me spots on my hands.
Really?
Like I had an allergic reaction to it. Yeah. Oh. So I can only use the the squirt stuff. I can't use the spray. I think it was too drying on my hands or something.
So after I do this Honest, that company Honest?
Yeah. Honest.
They make a spray.
Okay. Maybe I should try that one.
So that's what I use. And I do it after anything I consider to be oogie, like touching the panel at the gas station pump, or at a grocery store when you have to type in your sign your whatever, like you have to touch the keypad. Mm-hmm. I do it then. Yeah, and
so you're still pretty on it with the hand sanitizer stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Which maybe that's why it surprises me that Purell. I mean, I get that we're not doing it as much because I'm definitely not as much. Although, all of a sudden, many people I know are getting COVID again.
Yeah, are they getting it bad though?
I haven't heard of anything severe because most of the people in my circle are vaccinated. So maybe that's what's making the difference. But my some relatives, my aunt and uncle and cousin have it now.
And you've still never gotten it, right?
No, knock on wood. Come on.
Well, you might have gotten it and just never had any symptoms.
Maybe.
I mean, it's not like you're constantly testing yourself. I mean, when my husband got it, I didn't get it, and both my kids got it, and I didn't get this last time that he got it. I've only had it once, thank God.
Yeah, we're talking on crossing ourselves, turning around 3 times and jumping up and down.
I'm not as worried because are you gonna get the next booster?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna come out for a couple months though, and then they're saying to wait on the flu until towards the end of the year, right? Because it peaks here in January, February. So yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I'm gonna get the new booster too. But oh look, Joanne hasn't had it either. She's part of your cool club.
Oh,
Yeah,
look at you, Joanne.
Kim does have super immunity.
Okay, Calvin.
Knock
See,
on
now
wood.
this is the problem with that, Calvin. The minute I start thinking that is the minute COVID
You've
steps
thought
in.
it before. You've thought it before. You haven't. I'm sorry. You had to have thought like this is pretty cool that I haven't had it yet. Knock
Okay,
on wood.
remember, maybe I've mentioned this to you before. I probably have. When like before COVID was called COVID, or before we really knew it was in America, right? I'd gone to Disneyland that February.
Yes.
And we came home and we were really sick. And I think I had it before we all knew what it was, before it was a big thing. I think I was among the first. I remember feeling so sick and struggling to breathe. Like it was a breathing thing, but I didn't lose taste or anything like that. And it was only for a couple of days, but that was before the point that we knew to isolate, that we even knew it was here.
Yeah,
So
there's so many people that have similar stories where like I got hella sick right before the pandemic. I'm like, well, probably Janet says my coworker and her family just got COVID and they'd been vaxxed and they got it bad first time they had it. I mean, I hope they're feeling better. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. You know, you got to keep living your life. You definitely don't want to shut things down. We're not shutting things down again. I don't know at what point we would have to reach to shut things down again, but I don't think we're going to do it.
So my kids, I'm sorry to bust out with this in the middle of a newscast, but my kids yesterday came home with scratchy throats.
Uh-oh.
But it was very, very smoky.
Yeah.
And so I think it was the smoke that affected their throats. But the school yesterday, I got a message, instead of letting them play in the playground because of the smoke, they put them all in the multi-purpose room for lunch. They had to hang out there. So that's a bigger risk, right? Because you're in an enclosed space with the entire school. It's not just your class. It's not just the 20 kids in your class. It's the, however many, 350 kids in the school.
Do they not have like the filters? And I mean,
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they have that, but I still think that's an increased risk. So today I sent my son to school with a mask.
Oh, good. And he'll wear it?
He will. I said if it's smoky on the playground and you feel like it's, your throat is still scratchy, wear it. If they make you go into the multi with the whole school, wear it.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, if you're in your classroom, you don't have to. So.
Oh, okay. So you're doing it mostly for the smoke, not the COVID.
Both. It's both.
Okay.
So if it's a smoky situation, because it works for both, right? If you're in a smoky situation outside, there's your mask. If they put you with the entire school in the multi, again, there's your mask. So
right, yeah.
It's just taking precautions in this, like if I went to a theater show or whatever, Levi Stadium with you, that's outdoors. It's a little different.
I was thinking about it though. I was thinking about it. Yeah.
Look at all these people.
Well, not only that, but also on VTA because, when we got on, it was empty. But when we got to the concert, it was friggin' packed. So I did think about it. I was like, well, this isn't very smart. But
so in those moments where you're packed in with people in an indoor space, why wouldn't you wear a mask? You know the risks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now we've taken the masks out of our jacket pockets and purses.
That's exactly right.
Put them back in. Just have one lingering just in case, because COVID's coming back. And those times when, I'm not saying don't go to the movies. I'm saying if you go to the movies and there's more than 5 people in the theater, perhaps consider pulling out the mask.
Yeah.
You don't know who's sick and who isn't and who's whatever. I just why did we have all these precautions for so long and now we're just ready to go, ho ho, freedom at last, caution to the wind. No.
I know. I was picking up something for my daughter at the pharmacy the other day. And I was standing there, and again, I went into it, and it's not the hospital. It's like just a pharmacy and kind of like a doctor's office type of thing.
Sure, yeah.
So it wasn't loaded with people.
Yeah, but you know who's in there?
Sick people.
Thank
and
you.
I don't have my mask on, and they don't offer them anymore when you walk in. They used to have, the little kiosks with the masks on. They didn't see it there, so I was like, shoot. And so I'm in there, and there was a mom and her little girl, and this is it. This just flashback. The mom her daughter had to be, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years old. And they both were wearing masks, but then the kid's like playing with it, taking it off, throwing it on the floor. And I'm like, see, this is the problem with it. It's hard to be as
Diligent?
not strict, yeah, diligent with
Mhm.
it, especially with little kids. So are we going to shut down the schools again? I think
No.
we'd have to bring back the refrigerator trucks, as morbid as that sounds, for us to even ever consider. And even then, I think it would only be for a week or 2 weeks or something like that.
I
We're
think
not
if
shutting down again.
I think it's a school by school basis. If there's a major outbreak at a school,
Yeah.
then yeah, the school might take a little break. But I don't think we're going to see a widespread across the board closures like we did.
Yeah.
No.
And Perry Joe, no, I didn't. But I was saying, like, I did think about it. It's now we were in also the nosebleeds, like
Yeah.
we were in the 400s, so we were like really up on top. Like it was very open. I was not down like on the floor or anything like that. But I did think about it. I was like, I just kept going.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, here's a Taco Bell story for you.
Oh, yeah.
Taco Bell is testing Mountain Dew flavored gelato at a restaurant near the company headquarters in Irvine, California. Mountain Dew gelato, only in America, folks. Mountain Dew Baja Blast gelato will be available starting today. It'll cost $3. The first time Taco Bell has ever offered a gelato.
I mean, okay, so my daughter, when we go, she loves the Baja Blast, like slushy, like it's like a Slurpee, right?
Mhm.
I took one sip of that. It is so freaking sweet. And I guess it's
Yeah.
because I'm old now. Maybe if I was a kid, I'd be like, this is delicious. It tasted terrible.
Yeah.
And I used to drink as a teenager Mountain Dew. I liked it a lot. I can't drink that crap right now. I don't really drink soda anymore, but a gelato, it just seems to me like no way are they making gelato back there fresh. So it has to be some sort of mix, obviously, that you're going to put in a machine or something. Can you really call that gelato? I don't know. An ice cream? I don't know. It seems weird. It
You don't
seems
want
weird.
Mountain Dew gelato? Not for you?
No, it doesn't sound good to me.
Wow. Okay.
No, I don't think I would try that. I'm sorry. It doesn't fit into my whole what I like at Taco Bell category. That is not on there.
Watch.
No,
I bet
no.
it's your favorite thing.
No.
I bet it becomes your favorite thing.
Oh, I don't even think I'll ever try it. So it can't be my favorite thing.
Kind of a cool thing for Kobe Bryant's daughter, Natalia. She's scheduled to throw the ceremonial first pitch on Friday night's Dodgers-Braves game.
Nice.
The 20-year-old will represent her late father on Lakers night at Dodger Stadium, and fans who attend will receive either a Dodgers-Lakers themed hat or jersey.
Oh, cool. Is it going to be like a split thing, like you know how some people do with the Giants and the A's?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But I can tell you that I know Kobe Bryant was a Dodgers fan, very big Dodgers fan. So
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Dodgers, Lakers.
kind of
There
a
you
nice throw to that. And here's a Taylor Swift news for you.
go. I wonder if it's the same Taylor Swift I was going to do for you, but go ahead. Mhm.
Taylor is giving fans who missed out on tickets to her Eras tour a chance to experience it in a whole new way.
Yes, indeed.
The singer-songwriter will release Taylor Swift The Eras Tour film to movie theaters October 13th. AMC Theater says the concert film will play at all of its U.S. locations at least 4 times a day on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays during its run. Wow, that's a lot of concert.
She is definitely raking in the dough with this. I mean, it is quite ingenious. You know, it is ingenious.
AMC will also act as distributor with the film playing at other theater chains as well. The tickets are on sale now. AMC says it took preventative measures to ensure that its ticketing system can handle the increase in demand.
Well, we did get tickets. Some of the mom friends and I got tickets. The tickets are extremely close. It was like the packed theater on the first evening that they're doing it in my neck of the woods. So I'm taking Marley. We'll go watch it together and sing. They're telling people to dress up, do the friendship bracelets and everything like that. Is it the same? No. I highly doubt it's going to be the same, but at least I get to experience it with my kids. So I'm kind of stoked about that.
What I don't know is it just the concert that is, or is it like a documentary too, like extras?
Ooh. I wonder if like they'll have like behind the scene conversations. I don't know. That's a good question. I think the way that it looked, it was the concert, the Eras Tour concert. But which concert? Are they going to go to like different locations? And you know what I mean?
So I understand that the filming, most of the filming, maybe not for this, but maybe for a documentary, happened in Los Angeles. And I saw this story about how the camera people were trying to stay out of the way, but they're filming her as she's walking down stage. So they're front and center right in the stage. They're crouching, they're leaning, they're doing all these things. And most of the filming, they always have to have camera people because what she's doing on stage just flashed on the TV screens up above, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but I think most of it happened after the Silicon Valley show when she went to Los Angeles.
Well, that makes sense, though. I mean, they would do everything in LA, and she had so many concerts in LA. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see it since I obviously wasn't able to go. Is it the same as being there? No, I highly doubt that. But
so you already bought your tickets for this?
Yeah, I woke up this morning with a text from one of my mom friends. And she's like, get tickets. I was able to get 4, but
oh, wow.
for her and her daughters. And I was like, I'll see if she's like, there weren't that many seats available yet. And obviously want to go on the same day and time as them. And so I did. I got 2 tickets for me and Marley. And so I was like, Marley, do you want to go? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so we're going to go.
Awesome.
I'm excited about it because I get to see it. I feel like I've seen so much of the concert just in replays and things like that but I'm excited to just go and sit next to my daughter and sing the songs. So that's what I'm stoked about.
I would like to give you one more story.
Yes, please.
And this is out of Rockland, California, where a recent Facebook post from the Rockland School Board president calling for Christ-centered people to sign up for committees has sparked some controversy. You think?
Oh, Lord. Okay.
So the parents are lining up on both sides of this one. Some supporting Julie Levin Hupp's comments, others not. Some saying it violates the separation of church and state. The Rockland Unified School District says it's aware of the post, saying it was just one of many of Hupp's posts calling for people of varying backgrounds and faiths to sign up. One man who signed up is demanding a formal apology from the school board president. Yeah, her comment was, Christ-centered people need to sign up for committees.
I mean, it sucks that you have to lead it that way, right?
You're saying if I'm Jewish, you don't want me? If I'm Buddhist, you don't want me? If I'm
you're atheist, like I could still be a good person and not have any sort of religion attached to me. So now you don't even want to hear from me. And then it makes me wonder, so if I'm part of a different religion, are my opinions or my, am I taken into account on any of these committees, or are you only going to take a certain viewpoint of it? It's very concerning. I mean, especially because they're so blatant about it, Now,
the school board president is someone who's been elected, I think. And so they're not a staff member, a paid staff member for the Rockland Unified School District.
Right.
But to have an elected official say that, and, this is a school, a public school. It doesn't sit well with me.
Right. And I would have a lot of concerns about it because it is so blatant, right? I mean, if you did outreach if you were on a public school committee and then you went to like Christian churches and did outreach there for like committees, that's one thing, right? But like putting it like we are looking for Christ-centered people to be on X and Y committee, that's very concerning. And I don't think that that's right. It's weird. It's weird.
Well, this show is crowdfunded, which means we do rely on you, and that means you can check us out at thenikkimedoroshow.com. The Patreon link and PayPal links are front and center, and we thank you. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is The Nikki Medoro Show.
I do want to say thank you to Spencer, Pamela, and Marilyn for donating to our super chat, $5.
Nice.
You guys are awesome. Thank you very, very much. I do want to say I get it. I understand. I know that it can be, we share different opinions on here. Denise is upset at my lack of character regarding the Mitch McConnell story. I don't think it's a lack of character on how I feel. I don't. I think that I'm just sharing an opinion about how I feel about a man that, in my opinion, again, it's always my opinion.
You're not alone.
Hasn't done well. Maybe I was a little too harsh with my words, Denise. I hope, you continue to watch the show.
No, Mark felt the same way. I think you're looking at who he is and what he has done, right? And so I'm not looking at any of that. I'm just seeing an old guy suffering. Yeah. So I get it. I understand it. I don't think you're wrong. I come at it from a place of, old person needs care. That's all that's my...
and if he did this in front of me, you know what? I'm not being hypocritical when I say this. If I was that woman that was standing next to Mitch McConnell, I probably would have done the same thing. Like, did you hear the question? And I wouldn't have been sarcastic at all. I would have been concerning, but I'm not the woman standing next to him. I'm a talk show host who shares her opinions on her show, who despises Mitch McConnell. I do not like this man. I mean, I don't wish him ill. I don't wish him death. I'm sorry that he's going through these health problems. But politically, what he's done for this country over his political career, in my opinion, has hurt us as a nation. He has hurt us as a nation. And so for that reason, I just can't stand him. And I think it's fine for me not to like a guy and still at the same time be like, I hope he gets help and he should step down. But I apologize, Denise, that it really, it made you look at me a different way. But I'm just honest. This is me, flaws and all. And you're, if you see it as a flaw, I don't see it as a flaw. I do not like Mitch McConnell. I apologize. Okay. Let's go to the Beyonce concert. Oh, go ahead.
Can we have a moment to talk about because I've talked about him being old and and frail. Can we talk a moment about the bad things that he's done?
Yes,
because
please.
I was trying to look it up. Like, what, why is there so much vitriol for Mitch McConnell? Well, let's explore.
Please, let's go down the laundry list of things. Go ahead, Kim. Please lay it on.
Number one, he has bent over backward to pay fealty to Donald Trump. In the wake of the 2020 election, he went on a pilgrimage to Mar-a-Lago right after January 6th riot at the Capitol to make sure that everything was okay between he and Trump. No. He then turned around and condemned Trump for his role in January 6th. Also, I think he had, some hands in paving the way for the current Supreme Court.
Absolutely. He changed the rules. He changed the rules. Remember, Mitch McConnell, who was the majority leader at the time, said, we are not going to let Merrick Garland even have conversations. We're not even going to talk to him because it's up election season, right? He changes the rules to benefit his own political party.
That's right.
And again, because we didn't get Merrick Garland, right? They paused all that. Trump moves in now, and he McConnell carried so much water and legitimized Donald Trump in the eyes of the Republican Party when he was originally running in 2016. And look, Mitch McConnell's gone. If you honestly look back into the history of Mitch McConnell when he first started his political career, this is the way he always has been. He has been playing the long game for the GOP. And for Mitch McConnell, it is all about the courts. It is 100% about the courts. He doesn't care about getting policy and all that. He wants it to be legislated in the courts, and he has succeeded. And now we are where we are.
Many people are agreeing, saying that when you look back at who orchestrated the fall of Roe v. Wade, Mitch McConnell's name will be very close to the top of that list by leveraging his leading role in the U.S. Senate to reshape the federal judiciary and the U.S. Supreme Court. So his legacy, they say, and this is what he will be remembered for, will include the rollback of nearly half a century-old constitutional right to abortion. With 6 Supreme Court justices, 3 of whom McConnell steered through the Senate confirmation gauntlet, who never should have existed. And so the Roe versus Wade thing rests on his shoulders, really. Yeah.
And people, again, Randy's saying, I'm no McConnell fan, but the Dems had every chance to still be in office to appoint 3 SCOTUS judges, but the Dems still couldn't manage to beat Trump in 2016. Again, Mitch McConnell is an obstructionist. Literally, I think it was him, and I could be wrong, but I think that he is quoted as saying that anything that has a D or Obama's name on it, he was going to block. It was not as if he wanted to listen to the American people. He wanted to do, and I'm not going to say that a lot of politicians aren't like this, but Mitch McConnell being at the time the majority leader, he stopped progress simply because it was Obama putting it forth just to, be the most recent president besides Biden. The Affordable Care Act, that should have been more bipartisan. I mean, we needed to address healthcare in this country, but because it was Obama putting it forward, they were never going to work with him. And Obama went on a tour to all the states to talk to all the politicians. He wanted it to be bipartisan. He wanted to work. He even admitted it's not perfect. Come to the table. How many times did Obama stand before the microphones? Come to the table. Let's talk about this. They will never do it. Mitch McConnell never did it because it would give Obama a win. And that type of politician sucks. So,
So you're not wrong. Yeah. I mean, I just don't, I feel like, when you look at I would argue that women are in danger because of this, right? Okay. Not only because of abortion care, but because doctors are not going to states now where laws are against them, where they could get in trouble. And so now you have a lack of doctors, and that means if you're trying to see an OBGYN and you have a big medical problem, you can't. So the health of women is at risk because of what he's done here. And has he caused women to die? Probably.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and it's not as if Kentucky, and I know that obviously like Congress people and local elections and all that kind of carry weight of how well a state is doing, but it's not as if Kentucky is doing all that great. So it just begs the question of why do they keep electing him? And Perry Joe, you're right. You can't blame Mitch, blame the electorate in a sense, but also the amount of control that he has, who he is. I mean, shoot. We got McCarthy in Bakersfield. What the hell are you thinking? But they like him. Yeah. They elect him over and over. So, okay, there you go.
1 out of 7 people in Kentucky lives in poverty. So what has he done for them? And they still vote for him. I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, those probably aren't the people that are voting. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to explore.
No, you're absolutely right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I think of. And so back to Denise. I don't know if Denise is watching anymore. I'm sorry that you feel that it's a lack of character for my despising of Mitch McConnell, but it's not health focused. Yeah. It is completely political. My opinion about Mitch McConnell is 100% political. As a human being, if he was down laying on the street, I'd help him out, but he's not. He's still in politics, and so I could talk crap about him. Again, lack of character.
I think it isn't though, because let's look at the worst person in history, right? I mean,
we're talking Hitler.
Yeah, we're going Hitler. Adolf Hitler standing up there having one of these transient ischemic attacks or seizures or suffering this moment. I mean, am I sad for him? Do I feel bad that he's having this problem? I got to say, probably not.
Yeah, exactly. Of course again, it's like couldn't have happened to a worse person type of thing. It's like,
exactly. Right.
I'm sorry that's happening. The human side of me. On the other hand, it's going to take a lot for me to be empathetic, but I am. He needs help. He needs to get his health and step out of politics, man. Please. Right. I would love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Okay, can we talk about public transportation just for a bit? So I want to show you some pictures from a Beyonce concert real quick. And this is literally was one of the main conversations I was having with my husband yesterday as we went to the concert. This is us before we left. We were very, very excited.
Look how pretty you look.
You love my top? I love that top.
I love it. Yeah, you look so cute.
Much fun. Okay, so this is us waiting at to get on the train. We had to get off and then get on a different train. So this was the in-between part. And there's it was funny. I was sitting on the train and you could tell who's going to the concert because everyone's, one is dressed up, but a lot of them are in silver, right? And I'm looking out my window and I see this woman and she's on the wrong side of the train and the doors are going to close. I'm like, and I'm looking at her. She's looking at me. I'm like, get on the train. I was like, you're going to miss the train. She's like, thank you. I was like, I don't know why I have to tell you to get on a train that's literally in front of you, but everyone was so nice. Okay. So I'm going to go through this. I want to go in the right order. So I think this is the first. Okay. So this was a light rail train. All kinds of people were decked out. It was so funny. My husband's like, I think I feel underdressed. He didn't have anything sparkly. Of course you were underdressed. It got pretty packed. Okay. Like really, really packed on the VTA train.
Was everyone headed to Beyonce?
Pretty much. I mean, it was
so
loaded.
If you had shouted out, "Oh, the single ladies!" They would have
people
shouted it
got
right back
on
at
the
you.
Train, when people got on the train, everyone started cheering. Like we were just cramming in. And I think one person tried to do the whole everybody on mute and like make everybody be silent. And so that was really fun. Here's the problem, Kim. We bought tickets to get on the VTA train. You want to know who checked it? Nobody.
Oh.
Nobody checked. Now, I don't understand this business model. You promote taking public transportation to a huge event like a Beyonce concert, and there's no system in place to make sure that you have purchased a ticket. There's not even anyone at some of these stops saying, okay, everybody make sure you have your ticket, just to kind of entice people to do the right thing.
Is it like Muni where you have to go through gates?
No.
Or BART where you have to
no.
beep through gates with your ticket to get in? No? Oh.
No, all you do is you go to the station, which is open.
Mm-hmm.
It's an open station. There's no like turnstile like to get through. And then you hop on the train. And so I'm looking around. I'm like, stop coming to the public with tolls and bond measures or whatever to pay for public transportation when you're not enforcing. Why would anybody buy a ticket? Now, look, I'm an honest person. We did buy a ticket. We did. I even downloaded the Clipper app because I thought, I was going to need it. They were going to check it, all sorts of things. I didn't even have that downloaded. I did that. Nobody checked. So if you're not going to check, then your business model is not sustainable, because this is the moment in which you can make a ton of money and they're not taking advantage of it. I don't understand why there isn't a better system in place. Now, I don't know how BART is. I'm not a BART writer. I've only been on BART once. There's a $50 penalty or more if you're caught without a ticket. There was nobody, Jim, checking. Nobody. Now, I don't know if they weren't checking because it's way too many people, but that's also the point. Yeah, and it's not expensive. It was $2.50. I think it was $5 if you wanted like the 8-hour pass, which we ended up getting. But again, if there's nobody checking it, you don't think that people are noticing, oh, nobody checked, why even buy a ticket? And how much revenue they're missing out on because they haven't figured out a system to do this. And I don't know what it could be, because you don't want to delay the trains by checking everybody. But I know on Caltrain, they have, not the engineer, but they have somebody on the thing that walks up and down the train as it's going, checking people's tickets. And if you know that that's going to happen, you better buy a ticket. But if you're on VTA and you're like, nobody ever checks, I can hop on this train, there's nobody asking for it. Yeah. Why would anybody buy it? I mean, besides being honest, of course, but why would you bother? Kim says on BART, you have to tag the ticket or Clipper to go through the gates.
Right.
Ferry had a human making sure you had a tag, but Muni and those trains are a joke. Yeah. VTA Light Rail, you need to do something about it. Do not come to me as the taxpayer and say, I need more money, because you don't need more money. Yeah. You need to get your money for the people that ride your train. Figure it out. Figure out a system.
I think that mass transit should just be free. If we really want people to get off the roads and you really want to, make a difference with having not spewing pollution into the air, then we need to make public transportation free.
But then how do you sustain it?
Well, I mean, maybe if less people are on the roads, then there's less wear and tear on the roads and you don't have to fix things up as often. I don't know. I mean,
I feel
I'm not
like
saying I know how to pay for it, Nikki. I'm just saying it should be free.
Well,
okay.
Then you should be a California politician. So there you go.
Thank you.
Let's not figure out any of the details.
You're welcome, everyone.
There you go. Randy, I'm assuming this is dripping with sarcasm. Revenue isn't the problem. The state will just figure out a way for us to subsidize it more, like raising bridge tolls. And that's my point. Don't raise bridge tolls.
Mm-hmm.
Get your money from people that are riding the trains. Like, if they would take the money that they invested, whatever, and just figure out how to pay for more ticket taker people or a machine, or I don't know, some sort of system. SF Tesla says VTA is still trying to hire enough conductors to operate the light rail on weekends, so not as many ticket inspectors are pre-pandemic. Okay. Anonymous says in 2012 they caught a ferry vader who happened to be holding a 16-year-old teen against her will. It's good to check the tickets. Yeah.
Oh my.
John says lots of people jump the gates at BART. I've never seen anyone stopping them. Yeah, it's It's just ridiculous. Absolutely, absolutely ridiculous. I feel like we need to be able to find a way to get, like, I don't know if it's, maybe they need gates. I don't know. Maybe you just need to have a gate, a turnstile when you're waiting for your train. You have to get there early if you want to make the train. Something. Maybe, I don't know. They have to do something. Randy says, why should BART management, for example, act in a fiscally responsible way when the state just bails them out anyway? Great point.
Not wrong.
Great point, Randy. Absolutely. Okay, a couple more pictures because we have Jefferson Graham waiting. So speaking of pictures, and I'll wait for Jefferson to show my moonshot, my super blue moonshot. So here's some pictures. There she is with Blue Ivy, her daughter, which was really cute. This was a weird outfit. So she's holding the mic with her right hand, which is up. Her left hand is down. And then her outfit has like a hand across her boob. It's a really odd costume, but it looked pretty cool. The
picture looks like she's in a foil casserole dish.
It's kind of like a chrome. Everything was like chrome. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, so these were our seats. We were definitely
really high up there. Yeah,
it's really high up there. But you want to know? You want to know something?
Yeah.
The people in front of me sat down the whole entire concert. So we were third row in our section. Yeah. And so I'm going to show one quick video really quickly. This was a sing along that they did. It was really, really cute. Here we go. Let's hope it's playing. Hold on. It was really cute. Like everyone was singing along with me.
Wow.
So it was really cool. The two people that you saw standing, they were in the front row, and so they weren't blocking my view at all. But it was funny because we were talking yesterday about people standing, and so I stood for a couple of the songs, but I didn't have to stand for everyone. I mean, I stood up and sat down basically, but it was awesome. I could sit and relax and drink my cocktail and not worry about anything.
You sent me some pictures last night of that, and I noticed that the area right around the stage where at Taylor Swift it had been chairs looked like a standing zone.
It was standing.
So they organized it a little bit differently so that, and I think that's great that people that want to stand right by the stage and dance could do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the review in the Mercury News was lackluster, that they didn't think the audience was that engaged. I'd never been to a Beyonce concert. I thought people were. But again, I wasn't down on the floor, so maybe it wasn't as exciting. I don't know. Right. I don't know where this Jim Harrington with the Mercury News was, but all right. Let's do Jefferson Graham before we do some of your headlines. And
like it.
You like that? Okay, so let's welcome our friend Jefferson Graham to the show. Hello, Jefferson. How are you?
I'm good. You got to go to a big show last night. And another big one. I mean, that's like 2 in a month, right?
No, my daughter went to Taylor Swift. I did not go to Taylor Swift. My daughter was very bummed that she did not go to Beyonce. She was like, you said you'd bring me. I'm like, I sold the other 2 tickets that I had because we needed to. And Dad's coming with me, and it's a Wednesday. So not coming. Yes. Now I'm going to say this, Jefferson. I thought of you last night. I was walking along the promenade and I look up and there's a huge moon in the sky. And I was like, okay, this is my opportunity to practice what Jefferson Graham has taught me.
You brought your tripod. She brought her tripod with her.
I did it. I forgot all of it. Okay. But what I did do is okay, so before I show you the picture that I took of the moon, prefacing it, not good. I don't know what I did wrong. You'll probably tell me. But I did prop my phone up on like the ledge so it wouldn't shake, and it still turned out a little bit blurry. So here's my judgment. Judge away, my friend. Here's my picture.
Oh, that's pretty.
I mean, at least I got some of the shadows in it. I zoomed and then I took down the exposure but there was so much light because we're at the concert venue. And so there was a lot of light pollution that I was trying to get rid of. So I don't know. What do you think I did wrong?
Oh, I think you did as good as you could do because you're in an urban situation and you've got your smartphone. You went on the top telephoto, right? You used your 3x, and that was as close as you were going to get.
Yep.
And had you gone on night mode, I don't know that it would have made much of a difference. It is what it is. It's a smartphone taking a picture of a moon that's
so far
a million miles away, right?
Yeah, and it was like right over the parking, and so there was so much light, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do.
Like I've seen a bunch of pictures that are online this morning of people taking the moon over the bridge, and with things in the foreground to make the moon more impressive. You were not in a situation to do that.
Yeah, I tried though. I did think of you. I was like, oh, because it was big. I mean, it's so funny because when you're looking at it, it looks like it's right there, and then you take your phone out, and you're like, that is far away. But yeah, it was a beautiful moon last night. Did you take any photography last night?
I didn't go. I live in this beach community, and I thought about running down and taking a picture of it against the pier. And I've taken so many gazillion pictures of the pier. I just didn't do it.
All right. Well, you did find some old photos.
I did.
So tell us a little bit of the story of these photos before I show them.
Okay, well, the story is that as your listeners know, I went on a big Western trip in July, and then over the weekend, I finally made the little photo album of our highlights of the trip, and that took 3 days just to organize all the photos. It's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it, and I think more people should do these. I used to do them more frequently, and then I sort of got out of it, and I wanted to do it again. And when I was making it, there was another trip that my wife and I went on when we first met, and it was on the West. And I said, like, where are those pictures? I should do a companion album of the first trip and the new trip. And I just couldn't figure out where they were. They're in closets, they're in drawers, they're this, they're that. And it just went on a tear to start finding them. And what I did find was that once I finally located them, many of them were on slides or in negatives, because I shot a lot of slides back then. Remember slides? Kodachrome, Ektachrome? Yeah. You had to use them for publication. They always asked you to do slides.
Okay.
And so now what am I going to do? I did a few where I held the slide up to the light, and I put the phone right in front of it and went into macro mode. I actually got a few that weren't that bad considering what I had just done. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a company called scanmyphotos.com. They're very aggressive in marketing, and I, of course, thought of them immediately. And on Tuesday, I put a box together, which is like a whole bunch of slides. I just threw it in the box, right? And I threw some negatives in there. And I went to the UPS store, and I paid $10 to mail them to Irvine. And they were online waiting for my download the next day within 24 hours. I mean, the whole thing was unbelievable. And then they FedExed them back to me, and I already have them. And I had them as of yesterday.
That's a good turnaround.
Yeah, maybe it was Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because today is Thursday, right?
Yeah.
I got them yesterday. So yeah, okay. I put them in the mail on Monday. I had them online on Tuesday, and then I had them physically here on Wednesday. The whole thing cost me about $30 to $50. I'm not sure the total, but it was 20 cents a slide.
That's not bad.
But the experience was just amazing. And I found, I got a bunch of pictures of my late father that I don't remember taking. I got a picture of me at 12 years old. Don't know. I never seen this picture before.
Is it this picture that you sent me?
That's me.
Look at that picture of Jefferson Graham. That is a great picture.
I'm assuming it's 12, but then there's some facial hair on there. So maybe it's 14, between 12 and 14.
Love the hair. Look at all that hair, Jefferson.
I had a lot of it. And I still do, actually, if I let it grow. But it won't be the same rich black that it was back then.
And then you have another picture also that you sent me. What is this picture of?
Let's see. I just used to love, and I still do, taking great sign pictures of things. And that was the Pontiac Goodwill used cars. I've tried doing a search for this place. Could I find Pontiac Goodwill? And no, I have not been able to find it. I don't know where it is. But I got a big kick out of photographing stuff like that. And that was on one of the slides.
That's really cool. So, were there any pictures that didn't turn out? Or, that seems like a really good price, $30 to $50 with a couple day turnaround.
Yeah, amazing.
That's really cool. So they could do anything. You just send them
I just sent them slides and negatives and let them do their work. And the last time I sent them negatives, they were really, really, really messed up and dirty. and somehow they made them look good. I don't know how they did it, because I grew up in the dark room, and you would have these negatives, and then you would stick them into little sleeves to hold them, and then over the years they got stuck in the sleeve, and I had to tear them out, and little pieces of paper on them, but somehow they were able to work it out. And
that is cool.
And so we have hurricanes, we have floods, we have fires. That's all in the last 2 weeks, right? Or 3 weeks. Everybody knows how precarious our lives are right now, and how everything can go away in a second. So I highly recommend going through your stuff, getting a digital copy, whether it's your slides, whether it's your negatives, whether it's your house deed, whatever. Copy, and have it stored online somewhere, so that when you're running out the door in horror, at least you're protected, for some of these precious memories, which would just go up in smoke.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Will they take, undeveloped film and then develop it for you too, or does it need to be developed first?
No, I think it needs to be developed, but they will do the movies, the old, because I've done all those as well. I did that with a company called iMemories.com, where I gave them all my 8mm tapes, and I was watching the funniest video, every parent would say that, of my son playing the piano, having no idea what he was doing, but just playing, just banging on the piano and singing along, even though he didn't know any chords. So it was very, very cute.
That's awesome. All right. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about.
Yes.
And that, of course, is the new iPhone announcement. Now, you're giving people advice on when and when not to buy a phone.
Right. Well, anybody who buys a new phone between now and September 22nd is out of their mind. Don't do it. The new phone is going to be announced on September 12th. It will be in stores the following Friday. I can't look at the calendar while I look at you, but I believe that's September 22nd, right? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I can look at
something like that, the following Friday. And so it will be the thinnest, smallest, biggest, fastest, most powerful, most incredible iPhone ever built to date, the greatest iPhone ever. And they will convince you need it. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. But the older phones will find themselves going down in price by $100. So if you're going to pay $1,100 for the iPhone 14 Pro Max now, it'll be $1,000, and on and on and on. They usually, I predict they'll have the 13 and the 14 still for sale. Maybe I don't think they'll have the 12. So they'll have several generations of phones at a deeper discount than you could get now. So you better wait. Just make it work.
I think I have the 11.
Time for a new one, Nikki.
No, it's fine. I'm cheap, Jefferson. There's no freaking way I'm buying a new phone.
Way better camera. Way better camera.
I know, but for you, I understand why you would need it. I can't justify. I mean, I can. The problem is you could totally justify spending $1,000 plus on a phone because of how much you do on it, right? I totally get that, but there's nothing wrong with this phone.
Well, for the moon, you were 10 millimeters behind where I am, so it's a much smaller telephoto. Can I do a quick plug? Because I'm going to go live today at 5 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 5 o'clock California time. I've had a lot of interesting questions over the past few weeks, and so I think live is the best way to deal with them. One of the questions was 3 phones? You're running around with 3 phones all the time. How do you do it? How do you live with them? How do you get your stuff off? What goes on one phone versus the other? And then the other big question I got was that this guy really liked my Monument Valley video that I posted over the weekend, and he wanted to know, it's 8.5 minutes. How much did I shoot and discard to get to the 8.5 minutes?
What was left on the cutting room floor is what he said.
A lot. So I'm going to talk about that. I'll preview the iPhone and take your questions.
Perfect. And that's on PhotoWalks TV on YouTube. It's going to be live at 5 o'clock Pacific time. And so tune in. You can find Jefferson Graham. He's right there, right on the screen. PhotoWalks TV on YouTube. He sends out a great, email once a week.
Newsletter. jeffersongraham.substack.com.
Yes. And so all the little tips and tricks, he's the guy to follow to know how to take great pictures with whatever phone you happen to have. Mine, not so good. But Jefferson, I love having you on. And again, check out Jefferson at 5 o'clock Pacific at PhotoWalks TV. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. See you next week. So that's Jefferson Graham. I'm glad that he's taking those questions, though. I feel like, again, I tried my best. I was remembering all the tips and tricks but it wasn't. Let's welcome Kim back. I tried. Oh,
I am.
there you are. I tried. I did pretty good though. I feel better now that Jefferson says I did as good as I could because I really thought that I'd messed up.
Friend who tried to take a picture last night. It was Steven Espanola, I believe.
Oh,
our
good.
Hawaiian musician. And he took a picture through a telescope or a,
Ooh, yeah.
And he said that picture was amazing, but when he tried to do it just with his iPhone, it was a no-go.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, are you going to buy a new phone? When are you going to buy a new phone?
No, my phone's pretty new as it is. I have the most recent
didn't
iPhone.
You just become an iPhone user? Yeah,
I
didn't
did.
You?
Gosh, where's my phone? I realized it's not by my side. I did. I had a Google Pixel, and before that, I had Samsung Galaxies.
Okay.
And I've loved them, and I had no problem with them, but my whole family is on the iPhone network, right? The Apple network. And so I decided I would give the old iPhone a try, and there was a bit of a learning curve, but it's fine. I like it. If I had to go back to any of the other phones, that would be fine as well. I'm not married to one or the other, but I like the iPhone. Seems all right.
I like iPhone. I do not like Android. Their interface, I do not care for. My dad had an Android forever, and every time something went wrong with the phone or he couldn't figure it out, I was like, no, I'm not helping you. Get an iPhone. I was like, I don't know how. I mean, I could figure it out probably by Googling it and figuring it out that way, but I pressured him enough that he finally got into the iPhone.
Maybe it's because I used it for so long, but I feel like it was more intuitive. It's like a computer interface, right? It's like a Windows interface. Whereas the Apple, like if you don't swipe the right way, if you don't do this the right way, you have to really know where the back button is, all these things to figure out. It took me a while. Yeah.
All right, let's do some headlines with you, and then we'll try to squeeze in as much as we can. But we have another show tomorrow. If we don't get to it today, we'll do it tomorrow.
Out.
Oh,
I don't know what to do with myself when it's not near me.
Isn't it funny? I mean, sometimes it pisses me off how addicted and how attached to my phone I am. Yeah. I was taking my daughter somewhere just yesterday, and I was like, oh, let me go inside and get my phone. Now, why did I need my phone? Why did I need it? I was just going to take her there. There's no traffic. I was just going to come straight home. It's like an extension. It's like an extension of our hand. We need to have it all. Okay, let's do that, and then I'll decide what we're going to talk about after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Let's talk about a breaking story that just occurred. The leader of the Proud Boys, a leader, I should say, who led the organization's march to the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, has now been sentenced to 17 years in prison.
Was it worth it? I hope
it is
not.
One of the longest sentences so far for a convicted rioter. His name is Joe Biggs. He was convicted by a Washington, D.C. jury of several charges, including seditious conspiracy for attempting to forcibly prevent the peaceful transfer of power from then President Trump to now President Biden in 2020. And here's what the district judge said. His name is Timothy Kelly. He said, "Our Constitution and laws give you so many important rights that Americans have fought and died for, and that you yourself put on a uniform to defend. People around the world would give anything for these rights." He said the nature of the constitutional monument we were in that day is something that is so sensitive it deserves a significant sentence. So 17 years. The prosecutors had wanted 33 years, but he ended up getting 17.
Do you think that this is going to make a difference to other people that you don't think this is sending a message for the next election? Like, don't pull this crap.
I think that people that are so religiously, fervently, crazily this way will not be swayed.
That's scary. I'm hoping, I'm so dreading the next election. You know what? If Trump is not the nominee, I feel way better about it. But if he is the nominee, I'm dreading it. I'm dreading the nonsense. Although I hope we've smartened up. Like, don't you feel like the whole witch hunt thing is kind of like, shut up. You use that line way too. Like, do you feel like we're getting smarter, or is it just me living in my bubble?
I think there's a large segment of people who really buy into the whole witch hunt thing, who see the trial date set the day, what is it, the day before, the day after Super Tuesday, and they're like, see, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's ridiculous and asinine, but to a lot of people, it's they buy it. I don't think 17 years is long enough for Joe Biggs.
I don't either.
Seditious conspiracy. These are crimes against America. This guy is a traitor.
You know, like
17 years for being a traitor.
People get life, right? I mean, like
they used to hang you for that. You were firing squad. Like, really? 17 years? That's all you can muster up for a guy who tried to thwart the democracy of America, get in the way of the will of the American people? Really? 17 years, my ass. You should throw him up in the jail and lock away forever. Out. There you have it. My opinion on the news.
There you go.
Parts of North Carolina dealing with life-threatening flash floods. Thanks to Tropical Storm Idalia. The storm came ashore as a Category 3 hurricane in Florida yesterday. Now a tropical storm. The sustained winds 60 miles an hour. There's still a tropical storm warning in effect for parts of North Carolina. And President Biden is approving an emergency declaration for South Carolina due to Tropical Storm Idalia. It authorizes the DHS and FEMA to coordinate disaster relief efforts in that state as well. Former President Trump pleading not guilty to charges in his election interference case in Georgia. Thursday, a lawyer for Trump filed a waiver for his formal arraignment and entered the plea. Trump and 18 co-defendants face racketeering charges for allegedly trying to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election.
I mean, I know he keeps saying it was a perfect phone call and all these stupid things. It's just, again, I feel like I'm just in this ragging and wishing ill will on people. I just wish his ass would be in prison. I do. Again, there's no way you can look at what happened on January 6th and think that Trump did not cause it. Like, it blows my mind that people are really talking about this guy being innocent. Are you insane? You have to be insane to think. People were like, we're here because Trump told us to be. Literally said so many times, it wasn't my fault. Like, are you insane? Anyways.
Justice Clarence Thomas in the news today. He has disclosed officially all of the fancy dancy trips that he took. He said they had been inadvertently omitted from past disclosure forms. Including a real estate deal between Justice Thomas and Harlan Crow. Also, he says Harlan Crow paid for private jet trips to attend a speech in Texas and a vacation at Crow's luxurious New York estate. In one instance, Justice Thomas said he took the private transportation in May because of increased security risk after the leak of the Dobbs opinion overturning Roe v. Wade. Okay. Yeah. He made the disclosures, Justice Thomas, after getting an extension to file the yearly reports that were originally due back in May. I
want to say there's a documentary. I don't think it's a podcast. I think it's a documentary. I just saw an ad for it. I have not seen it, about the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah. And the problem is, this is what I always tell myself, and it kind of scares me when my mind goes down this way, is we are still, in the grand scheme of things, a very young country, right? Yeah. We still have mistakes to make. And I feel like even though we prided ourselves, and I'm using that in the past tense, on having this checks and balances, a lot of the checks and balances were based on an understanding of facts, wanting to do the right thing. If you didn't do the right thing, and it was uncovered, you were done. You were out. That seems to have ended in this country. You can do blatantly wrong things, right? And just kind of shove it off, right? And there's no real consequence anymore. We're losing the consequences for our actions. And when we're talking about something like the U.S. Supreme Court, which apparently all the other courts can have, some sort of oversight, but not this court. No. It doesn't make any sense. And when you have the courts being politicized because Congress can't do its freaking job and wants to send everything to the courts that we should be deciding through voting and our representatives, then we're in this case where not even Congress can be a check on the court because they want their people still there. And so I'm worried for us as a nation of what we're going to go through if we don't go back to this understanding of when you do blatantly wrong, you one should be ashamed of it. And two, you should want more oversight to make sure that you as a human being with all your flaws and everything are doing the right thing and held to the straight and narrow. Because once you're allowed to go every which way, you will. And it's sad. It really is.
Apparently, there was no rule in place that justices had to report travel gifts, right? Now the Judicial Conference changed the rules, and they say they do want the justices to report travel. And so Justice Thomas says, it's my intent to follow this guideline in the future.
But what does that mean? Okay, so I have disclosed that rich Republicans are taking me on fancy schmancy trips. No, you should not go on fancy schmancy trips.
No, you shouldn't. If you have ethics, right, you shouldn't. But the new change applies to activity covered by the 2023 report, makes clear travel by private jet as well as stays in commercial properties are no longer considered part of a hospitality exception. So
I mean, I just feel like even if it's subconsciously, like, let's just say, you know what, you're allowed to have friends that are of certain political ilk. It's hard to not be, right? We're human beings. We have political leanings. Clarence Thomas is allowed to have friends, and he's a U.S. Supreme Court justice, and he probably obviously is in circles of rich people. And if they want to go on vacation, they're allowed to go on vacation. But consciously and subconsciously, you are going to be influenced. It just is going to naturally happen. You know, that's why people do favors, right? Well, that's why, it's who you know. Well, what does knowing somebody do? Well, then you become more, personable and maybe you'll do this or that, or maybe you'll look at something a different way, maybe even subconsciously. And so that's the problem here. And it sucks. They should excuse themselves or recuse themselves from any sort of, cases that have the even slight appearance of influence and bias. They should want to do that willingly, step aside so that people don't want to take you on vacation just to get a good ruling.
But Justice Thomas isn't the only one today who is coming out and redoing the form and now admitting that they have, taken these trips. Justice Alito also says that he took a trip to Rome in 2022 to give a keynote speech at Notre Dame Law School's Religious Liberty Initiative, and that it was paid for by a conservative group. So he also had to come out and say, I also received free travel to this
Why?
conference.
I wonder, do we know what the pay is to be a Supreme Court justice? Let me look this up. What is the salary? What is the salary of a U.S. Supreme Court justice? Google, I love you. Okay, so as Justice of the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas, for instance, earns a $260,000 salary each year. Is that not enough? Is that not enough?
It's not enough for a private jet. That's not private jet money, right?
$250,000 a year? $250,000 you can't save for a jet for a couple of years. How long has he been a Supreme Court justice? Give me a friggin' break over here.
You could charter a plane, but you're not going to take a private jet like that. That's billionaire money, right? So if he makes, what is he, Chief Justice John Roberts, I think Chief Justice makes
$298,000.
Yeah, I'm looking at about $280,000 a year, but right in that range. So I think you could charter a flight maybe if you had that much money, but you probably wouldn't be private jet flying around from place to place.
I don't know, man. I feel like you can get a private jet for $250,000 a year. After a couple years of the high court under your belt, save a little. I mean, how much? Okay, let's Google how much.
Someone should pay us $280,000 a year just to let us experiment. What could we afford?
No. Kim, a private jet can cost anywhere from $2 million to over $100 million.
Right.
He can afford a private jet.
By making $280,000 a year?
$280,000 a year.
Right.
He could, so $250,000. He could save. He has been on the U.S. Supreme Court for decades. You could save for a private jet.
Well, he decided to buy the giant bus. The giant rolling mansion bus. I don't know what you expect,
you want
Nikki.
The bus instead.
You want the bus or you want the jet? I mean, I don't think you can have both.
I don't know, man. He needs to like go to a finance person, because I feel like if you're making $250,000 a year for this many years, you should have the jet. But okay, I digress. There we go.
The Biden administration is committing $450 million to help reduce drug overdoses.
Yes,
the funds will be used to ramp up prevention, treatment, and recovery services and crack down on drug trafficking as well. White House officials are calling the overdose epidemic a national crisis. So $450 million a year going to that effort.
Yeah. I mean, there was just, I apologize because I dropped the story. Can I bring it up real quickly? There was this swimmer that just died from a fentanyl overdose.
Yeah.
And, a top of her field athlete died from, I mean, it's awful. We got to do something. It's crazy.
Well, speaking of substances, the DEA is being recommended that it ease government restrictions on marijuana. President Biden ordered the Department of Health and Human Services to conduct a review of the drug last summer. Yesterday, the agency made its recommendation to the DEA, which has final authority on scheduling substances. I don't know about calling marijuana a drug. I mean, it's more like an herb, right?
Well, I mean, they do. It's a what is it? A Schedule 1 drug?
Yeah,
that's still qualified by the federal government. So I think right. It's still illegal federally. Stupid.
Yeah,
it is.
It
stupid.
just feels wrong to call it a drug, though. But okay.
Oh, how times have changed.
Yes, it is. Yes, I am. There are reportedly rising tensions among Hollywood studio executives about how the writers and actors strikes are being handled.
Mm-hmm.
Deadline reports the leaders of several major studios met with each other yesterday. Deadline says the legacy media companies and newer media companies have very different approaches on how to handle this strike. So,
I mean,
not only can they not agree with the writers, they can't even agree with each other. Yeah.
Well, no, of course not. I mean, the legacy ones, this is a huge assumption, and again, total assumption because I'm not in the meetings, might be more willing to negotiate with the writers and the actors. But these newer ones are like, no, we understand this whole streaming thing. We're trying to build up what we have. And if we have to pay these people more, then we're not going to be able to grow as quickly. We might die out. There's too many streaming companies. There just are. But on that note, I mean, like I was mentioning, Stephen Colbert, John Oliver, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, and Seth Meyers are doing a podcast together, 12-part podcast with profits from the show going to pay their respective staff. Do you think that's cheating?
No, I like it. I think they're going to be funny. I think they're going to be really funny together.
But they're producing content.
Yeah, but they're not hiring writers, right?
I don't know. I'm assuming not.
I don't think they're having writers for this. It's them together.
Okay.
They're working on it together, and they're doing it as a benefit for the writers. So.
But I feel like because they're producing content, and yes, the money's going to the writers, that us, the public, are being satiated in ways. Does that make sense? Just like these independent films are kind of giving us new content. And so we're not so upset. But if we're not getting anything new, then we're not pressuring these media companies to negotiate because we're getting stuff. Does that make sense? That's my concern with this.
We're on a diet and we just had a banana split.
Something like we're getting a little bit of new content. and I know that it's a good thing for the writers and their staff. That's great. And I'm glad they're not working with any of these media companies, but because they're producing something new, they're kind of scratching that itch we're not supposed to scratch. Right. And so I'm a little concerned that we're doing I don't know. I feel like it's just going to become a very slippery slope. And so I like the idea. I'll probably listen to it. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be funny. But I just feel like it's giving people something when we're not supposed to be getting anything. That's the point of the strike.
Well, I think if they follow the rules, they don't hire writers. They're not crossing lines. And it's not a TV show. It's a podcast. I don't know. I mean,
I hear what you're saying. I like the idea of it. I don't know.
I mean, we're technically SAG-AFTRA. So by
just paid my dues. I am definitely SAG-AFTRA.
By doing this podcast every day, this YouTube show every day, are we not honoring the strike? I don't know.
Oh, that's a good point. We could totally be scabs right now. I don't think so because this isn't a union show. this isn't under the union, so you can produce things that, you know.
And
But
that's
a good
why
point.
that's what I think theirs falls under as well. That podcast.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
now you've convinced me.
I
I
don't
take it all
know.
back then.
Okay, so lastly, there's a new fund benefiting those affected by the Maui wildfires being created by Oprah Winfrey and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the two celebrities launching the People's Fund of Maui, which they say will give cash directly to those in impacted areas. So they've kicked off this campaign by donating $10 million to this new fund. And so it's a good thing. It's again called the People's Fund of Maui. Oprah Winfrey and The Rock are behind this.
Nice.
Yeah, this report is crowdfunded, which means we rely on you. Thank you very much. You can check us out at thenikkimedoroshow.com. That's where you'll find the Patreon and PayPal links. You can find the podcast links and the merch links there as well. So it's a one-stop shop for everything Nikki Medoro.
Ah.
I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
And look, Salania, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, says, wow, I've been gone from the Bay Area for 5 years. I come back, no KGO, but I'm glad to see Nikki is on live.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
this must be such a shock.
I know. Welcome back.
KGO flipped in October. But I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you're here. Welcome. And just to let you guys know, Kim McAllister also does the Mark Thompson show, which is right after this show. And then she stays on for the after party live. So all of the shows are connected to this channel. Just look under the about section and direct links are right there. And thank you for joining us because yeah, we're here. Now, as far as the SAG after thing, I am creating content. That is true. This isn't a union show. We're not under the SAG umbrella. And even if we were at KGO, we can still continue working. Like KCBS, they can continue working because we're not part of this strike.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the difference. But because this is more of it is what we did at KGO. So I'm kind of considering it under that umbrella. And, I can't wait for the day that I have as much pull as Jimmy Fallon and all of those guys. It's a bit different, us doing this show and them doing that podcast. But I'll buy it, and if it helps out people. And yes, I did see your Puerto Rican flag, my friend. Very good. It's going to be interesting to see how long this drags out. I don't want any more reality TV shows. Although, well, can I do it? I'm going to do it just because I said the word.
I don't see your Puerto Rican flag. You have a Puerto Rican flag?
No, Selenia put it up there. Oh, right here. Hold on. Let me bring it up. She put it in her comment. There it is. Right there at the end. Right
okay,
there
got
at the
it.
end.
There it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do it just because I just mentioned reality TV and we're kind of talking about it. And that's what we're going to see more of because reality TV stars are not unionized, which will be interesting to see if they start becoming. There is kind of an effort and a conversation going along on making them part of the union because they don't get any sort of benefits. There was this article about them being exploited. They have mental health issues and the producers and the behind the scene people are kind of exploiting that, plying them with alcohol, making them put them in these unhealthy situations just for entertainment, but they're not part of the union. But did you see, and I know it's crap TV, do not judge me, that the Golden Bachelor is starting soon. Now, if you don't know, the Golden Bachelor has a 72-year-old bachelor, Gary Turner. Okay, I've talked about him before. Not a bad looking dude, but we now have the women of the Golden Bachelor. And a lot of people were thinking, are these women going to be age appropriate? Are we going to get a bunch of even 30 and 40 something year old women going after a 72-year-old dude? No. They are. I will say this. There's not one woman from the Bay Area. Now, there are some from Southern California, but I'm kind of bummed that there's no one that I can technically. I always like to choose someone to root for. You know what I mean? So I'm going to show you some of the pictures of these ladies. And I think now they're all gorgeous. I'm just going to say this. These are women. We were talking about aging a couple of days ago. These are women that have aged extremely well, but they are of an appropriate age. So here we go. So this is Anna. Unfortunately, I can't blow up my screen here. Anna is 61 years old. She's really pretty. I should think she has a great smile. They're all in black too, which I think is kind of like glamour shots. So she's from Summit, New Jersey. She's a retired nutritionist. That's the other fun thing that's going to be fun to watch on this show is they're retired. normally on The Bachelor, it's like, well, I'm starting my career, blah, blah, blah. So she's really cute. So she's from New Jersey. We have April, 65. She's pretty good looking. They're all good looking. I don't even need to say that. She's a therapist from Florida. 73-year-old Christina. I want to look like this at 73.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks gorge right there.
Yeah.
I love that outfit too. Edith is 60.
She's cute.
Do you think you're going to keep your long hair, Kim, no matter how old you are?
I don't know. I'm not
She's
sure.
from Downey, California.
I cut it off every November usually and donate it.
Yeah, but cutting it off for you is not really cutting it off.
Yeah,
how short do you go?
Like there, here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, your hair grows like a weed though, right? So
yeah. Well, it used to. Now that I'm older, I've noticed that things are slowing down.
Right. You're like, my hair is not growing as fast. So that's Edith. She's 60. Ellen, 71. 71.
Where do they find these supermodel women that are older? Wow.
Faith is 60. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just going to go quickly through this. These women are gorge, but they're age appropriate. She reminds me of an actress. This woman reminds me, what's her name? Jeannie at 65. Oh God, I'm blanking on her name, but she's always on an American Horror Story. She's an actress. She's a really great actress. She reminds me of her. The moment I saw her. Joan is 60. Joan looks like she's 45 years old.
Yeah, Joan looks like a pinup model.
Oh my God. Kathy's 70. She's cute.
Yeah.
Then we have Leslie at 64. I mean, and I don't know what to like. So sometimes women will do like a fantasy football type thing with the Bachelor or the Bachelorette and like have squares of, their team, their fantasy football team.
Right.
I love Marina at 60. She looks like one of my neighbors. She has a great smile. Nancy, 60. I swear to God, these women, amazing.
Look at them
Natasha,
all.
60. I know. And it's really diverse, like hubba hubba. They're all age appropriate. So, and then this woman, Patty, is the mom of another Bachelor.
Oh, how funny.
Matt James's mom. So she had been on the show before her. And so she's looking for love with Gary. Peggy looks like, I don't know. She reminds me like she doesn't live in San Diego. She lives in Connecticut, but just kind of like that beachy vibe. Renee looks like an actress too.
She looks like Sally Field. Yeah.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah. I was going to say Valerie Bertinelli a little bit, but no, I like Sally Field. Yeah. That's better. Sandra looks like she could be like a news anchor.
Mm-hmm, she does.
She's a retired executive assistant. Susan, 66. Susan reminds me of the Kardashian mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sylvia, 64. Sylvia, 64. I will say this. She's really cute. She needs to lighten up. She looks a little stiff in the picture, but whatever. She's still gorge. Still gorge. Teresa. But yeah, anyways. So all these women. Oh, and somebody wanted to see Jerry, the Bachelor. Let me see if I could find a picture of him real quick. No. I don't have a picture of Jerry the Bachelor. He's cute. He's definitely good. He has a hearing aid. They had a hearing aid in this picture. They all look like money. God knows what kind of treatment they had. Yeah, I'll say this. They probably, some of them have had work done.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's fine. Yeah. Again, we were talking about aging. Some women, fight it, and some people age gracefully.
Yeah.
Excuse me. All I'm saying is he's got a nice group of age-appropriate women to date.
I think they fancy him up a little bit for the photos and everything.
Well, yeah, it's a glamour shot.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be on national television, I'm getting my hair and my makeup done.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they look in shape. Like, I'm sure they're active. I don't know how active. I'm going to watch because I want to see if there's any cattiness or if you grow out of that as you get older. So I just like it. I was really, really happy about the fact that they're all age appropriate. So there you go. Now, speaking, obviously the Bachelor wants to get married again. If you don't know the story of Gary, he lost his wife. She died like right after they retired. It's a sad, 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 sad story. Okay. So he wants to get married, but he's older. But apparently young people, and I'm talking under the age of 25, do not. And it's become such a problem in China that China is offering couples an incentive, a cash incentive to get married before they turn 25. I'm going to go on record saying the amount of money that they're offering, if you're on the fence of getting married, is not enough. So, according to local Chinese officials, they will give couples what is in US dollars $137 to wed if you're 25 or younger. The notice said that
$137 per couple.
Yes, it says
Okay.
couples. Okay, so the
That
notice
doesn't
said the
seem like
reward.
enough.
No, it has to be a first-time marriage. They aim to encourage age-appropriate marriage and childbearing. There are policy targets, which include at least one of the men and women is registered in the certain county. Both parties are the object of a first marriage. And this is because they're facing a demographic crisis in China. The population dropped last year for the first time in 60 years. And so they're trying to find various ways to encourage people to have babies. But again, just because you get people to get married doesn't mean they're going to have babies. But even in America, the share of U.S. adults who are married by the age of 21 sank from about 1/3 in 1980 to 6% in 2021. And the share who ties the knot by 25 plunged from nearly 2/3 to 22%. No, they're no longer young couples or young people aren't seeing marriage as this thing that needs to happen at a certain point. Perry Joe says Chinese can't afford to get married and more Chinese women with education are staying single. I think the same can be true here. I think that exact same reason is why people, and I have no idea. It comes out to $137. It's actually 1,000. Is it pronounced yuan? Y-U-A-N? 1,000 won. So 1,000 is a nice round number, but it comes out to $137 for us. Wouldn't even pay for the wedding cake. I know, like $137. If you're going to entice people, entice me. You know what I mean?
But I think Lulu makes this point. She's got 5 adult kids and only 1 is married. People are living differently now. The rules that, where society told you must be married by the age of 30 and you must have 2 children and you must do this and you must do that. Well, no, because this next generation is like, whatever, I'll do what I want to do when I want to do it. And if I choose not to get married, fine. And if I choose not to have kids, fine. So the societal pressures and rules seem to be changing. Even for us, our moms, there was a moment where they graduated from high school and they both went to college because your mom was a nurse and mine was a teacher.
Right.
But they got married and had their 2 kids. Like their parents expected them to live that lifestyle, to have to conform to societal pressure. And maybe they wanted to, or maybe they would have lived differently. Who knows? Our grandmothers, for sure, it was expected. You graduate from high school and you get married and you have your kids. That's not the case anymore. You and I, we had careers in radio. You had your kids younger than I did, not for lack of trying on my part, but I feel like we have choices now about how we want to live, and there's nothing as much expected of us anymore, right?
And so, because we can freeze our eggs, we don't have to do it by a certain point, so there's not that clock.
Now our daughters have even more freedom, right, to live their lives and have their careers. I worry, though, that I think, this is just my own personal opinion, having suffered infertility and having kids later in life, I feel like your body, just from a purely health perspective, you're supposed to have kids in your 20s and early 30s.
Yes.
Like your body, that's when your body is the most ready to go for
it's
all
exhausting having children.
I'm just telling you, running after them, doing all the things. I feel like maybe I'm a more patient mom because I had my first at 38 and my second at 43. All right. So I feel like I'm more patient, but I feel like physically and the ability to have kids, I probably wouldn't have struggled as much as if I had them in my 20s. Right. And so I wonder if having kids later is going to lead to more people not being able to have kids that actually wanted them. And we're going to see a population decline because of our shift in thinking about, we can have kids when we want if we just freeze our eggs. That doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't always work. And then it's also
worry about it.
You also have to think about, it sucks, but a lot of people in middle age, if they get laid off or whatever, it's hard to find another job, But now if you have kids later, that could really bite you in the butt, right? I mean, it's all of these things that usually happen. You kind of set your career younger, and then you have kids, and then you save for the college and all those sorts of things. Are you going to be able to afford all of those as you're trying to plan for your own retirement to also pay for college? So all of these things have to be taken into consideration. Now, we are living a hell of a lot longer, so it can matter. Heather says, I never wanted to put my body through that, even in my 20s, or my finances, or my patience. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a personal decision, you know, and because having a family isn't this end all be all, this is what a successful life looks like anymore. Right. People are like, you know what? I'm going to think about what I want out of this life. And it doesn't make you selfish. It makes you understand that you have one life. Right. And if you want to get married and have kids, great. And if you don't. But there are societal repercussions, as China is seeing.
We used to judge people for that, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, they must be selfish because they don't want kids. Or, oh, they must not be, you know, they must be horrible to live with if they never found a partner. Well, no, none of that's true. And now we have a different perspective and way of thinking. But I think it really might affect our population as well, as you know, more people are not judged for it, and so end up making these choices. Maybe they didn't want to be a parent. Maybe they, like Heather was saying. So, but yeah, I think it's interesting, and I don't know if maybe there's extreme poverty in these areas where $137 makes a difference. I don't know.
Yeah, $137 wouldn't do anything for us in America. John says, my mother had me at 40. My father was 51. When I was at school and my father came to school, kids would ask me if he was my grandfather, which is, you know, it's kind of a fair question, right? I mean, if you see somebody that's older. Dee says, I'm glad my mom supported my choice to not have children. I'm not married, and I definitely did not want to be a single parent. Yeah, I feel like, great question, Grady. Why do we need more people?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we do need more people to kind of keep society going, and to honestly to pay the taxes that help pay for the older people. I mean, that's kind of how our capitalistic society and all that, it doesn't make it right, wrong. You can disagree with it, but that's how it kind of works, right? You know, our healthcare system, a lot of it is paid. People pay when they're younger, and it helps people when they're older. Kim says, you change over the years. I always wanted to get married and have kids, but the older I get, yes, the more selfish I am with my time. And I cannot imagine raising a toddler or a teenager right anymore. You know, it's not an easy. Here's the thing: it's not easy. It's a very. I mean, you are no longer number one, right? You have to take care of these kids. You brought them into this world, and you got to take care of them. And it's a huge responsibility, and it's a thankless job a lot of the times, you know. And it's not for everybody. You know, sometimes I think that some of the problems we have in society is people had kids that should not have kids. Like, you don't have the money, you don't have the patience, you don't have the personality. Like, there are some people, maybe you had trauma in your life. Like, not saying that if you had trauma in your life, you can't have kids, but some people just have kids because it's what they do. And doesn't necessarily mean it was the right thing for you or for this kid. And now, John, you also made a comment about, like, as more people move away from religion, we're going to see more people not wanting to get married. I didn't want to get married because my religion had anything to say about it. I wanted to get married because I wanted to get married.
Right.
And there is a benefit to being married in this country. I mean, the tax breaks you get and everything like that. There is a single tax. If you're single, there's a huge tax on you, and it sucks. I mean, we should figure out a way to give people different ways of saving money, but it's definitely, it helps to be married.
Yeah, it's not just China. It's Japan and Korea. Liz saying they're experiencing a population decline, fewer people wanting to have kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's oh, I love this. Bricky says, parenting is thankless until they grow. There is gratitude. Yeah, I know, but it's just one of those things where, you know, the day in, day out parenting can be so difficult. It's the longest, shortest time.
Don't you think, you know, though? You know, you know if you are the person that wants the kids or you don't.
Ooh, I mean, I don't know. If you're young and in your 20s, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like I got married. I love the guy, but I wanted a family. You know, I hit a point where I'm like, I know I want a family, so.
But you weren't going to take any Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street. Like, you loved your husband.
I love my husband, but I was looking for someone to have kids with. I'm like, this is the time.
I'm not marrying you to hang out. I'm marrying you so we can have some children.
Let's
yes,
get busy.
I hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I was not. I've shared this story before. I mean, again, I've known my husband since I was a teenager, so that kind of plays into the whole thing. But I mean, again, we were married for 4 years and never had a conversation about we should try to start having children.
Yeah.
Never. And then I just got pregnant and I was like, I guess we're having kids now. And if it didn't happen to us, I bet, I mean, my mom did. My mom kept teasing me like, when am I getting a grandchild? And I was like, I don't freaking know. Because we were having a great time. We were having a great time being married. But yeah, and then you know what it was? We jinxed ourselves. We bought a house. And then, you buy a house.
Fill it up.
I guess apparently when you start boning, you just start having kids, I guess. I don't know. But
what's interesting is some of the people that I know that have chosen not to get married and not to have children end up being teachers, and they really give back as far as affecting the lives of children and the future of the country. With this newest generation, they are people that care about kids and like kids, but for whatever reason didn't become parents themselves, but ended up being really mentors to so many children because they're in these careers where they're affecting young lives. So, I mean, I think you can choose not to have kids, but still have a life rich with children in it.
Absolutely. You could be the cool uncle, the cool aunt, you know what I mean? Like you could be your friends, I'll take them out, I'll give them, the tips and tricks that the parents can't say. I'll be an ear, another person in their lives that they can make a positive impact. So that's awesome. All right, let's give some thanks. Let's read this one first from Tony. Having children was the greatest thing I've done in my life. A love, a full heart like nothing else in the world. Even with the headaches, I never second guess it. It's like nothing else. I know. I think parents totally get exactly what you're saying, Tony. And that's what they try to explain to people that don't have children. Like, you just don't know until you're in it because they see like this outward thing. But I'm telling you, like, I think of my kids and you just get all warm and fuzzy, Yeah, Kelly, I'm 41, never been married, never had kids. It's the best. More power to you, Kelly. Exactly. Whatever is good for everybody else. That's awesome. All right. Big thank you to Jenny T with the $10 super sticker. Yay. Thank you, Jenny. Yeah. Marilyn came in with a $5 super sticker. Pamela came in with a $5 super sticker. Spencer started us off with a $5 super sticker. You can join them and just click that $sign right under the chat box. And you can do it even during the replay. It's awesome. But the number one way to support the show, of course, become a Medorable. Go to NikkiMedoroShow.com. Sign up to be a monthly Patreon subscriber. You're only charged once, and you're charged on the day that you sign up. And so that can help you budget. And it's just one time a month. And you support the show because we're 100% crowdfunded. Go to NikkiMedoroShow.com for links to our other shows to share with your family and friends. Please make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube show. We really do appreciate it. And stay here because Mark Thompson is coming up next with Kim McCallister. And then Kim and John have the after party live. All of the links are in the About section of this channel right here. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.